and welcome to episode number 65 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carso in beautiful Los Angeles, California, to my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias, who right now has himself a War Machine action figure. I do believe that is War Machine. Lee, how is it going today?
It is War Machine. Ray, it's going wonderful. 65th episode. We have officially reached retirement episode, which means this is it. This is the last episode before we go on retirement.
Oh, we're done.
Which means we're done with the first 65 episodes, and now it's into the great beyond. We have no ending in sight to when we're going to stop this. We don't know when it's going to end, and when the good Lord takes the show, it will ascend us to a higher level of sponsored content that's not annoying to our audience. Anyway, yeah, it's doing great here in Philadelphia today. I took my family on the ice today because I'm not going to lie to you, just couldn't wait any longer. I was tired of waiting. The rink was kind of open. I bought a private session of the ice as an early birthday present to myself, which is great because my birthday's in 6 months. Anyway.
Christmas in July.
Yeah, sure. Hanukkah in July, Christmas in July, whatever you need to justify it in your head, however I justify it in my head. But I had a great time out there with my family this morning. But I got home, we got settled, and I said, the light turned on. The Geeks Who Like Sports light shone in my living room, in my mind. And I was like, I stood up like Keaton in that movie, Batman Returns, and I was like, it's time to do this show. And I got all ready to do the show, and I was like, Ray, are you ready? And then 3 hours later, you were like, yes. And now we're doing the show. Now we're doing that show.
Yes.
Geeks Who Like Sports, episode 65. It's a limited edition. Do not take it, as we found out today, do not take this episode out of the box because it could be worth $14,000, which is what an original Super Mario Brothers NES game went for today, $14,000. So this episode, keep it in its box. You can listen to it, but don't open it.
Yeah.
Now, good luck figuring out what that means.
Yes, exactly. Yes. If you already opened it though and it's too late, please enjoy the episode as it was meant to be. A lot of video games. That's actually, we'll mix it up today. We're gonna do the geek section first. Because that's the way we're going, because this is a subject that I actually know a lot about, which is I went to Comic-Con a few years ago, and there are actually a lot of video games that are in the original mint condition box, from Balloon Fight and Blaster Master, and of course Mario Brothers, as you mentioned, Track and Field. Some of these games, as Lee mentioned, it's just like the card collecting market, like for baseball cards or football cards. These games in their mint condition or near mint condition, if they're still in the original packaging. Even if they're not, they're still worth something if they're not in the original packaging. But they're worth a lot more if they're in the original packaging. Thousands and thousands of dollars.
It's nothing like having an unopened Death of Superman comic, which is basically worthless because they printed way too many. But that's a different story for another show. We all got that. We all bought 2 issues of the Death of Superman, one to unopen and one to open. But the problem is the entire country did that, and it just didn't end up being worth anything.
So it's one of those things where it just it's supply and demand, right? Like when there's not a lot of something, it's when its value goes up. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of original copies of Mario Brothers yet. It's why actually I have one of 250 copies of a gold printed DuckTales NES cartridge. No box. Wow. Capcom gave them out as limited run, and I acquired one of them many years ago, so there's no box, but it's probably, I'm guessing, because there's only 250 of them in the world, that it's probably worth something.
It probably is.
That's my retirement right there, baby. Speaking of retirement,
there you go.
30 more years.
It's like Dr. Emmett Brown in Back to the Future 2. Don't touch anything, don't interact with anyone, and try not to look at anything.
Yeah, it is safely secured away in a DuckTales lunchbox in my bedroom.
That's a good indicator.
Yes, so do not, and now if anybody ever broke in, they know right where it is. Anyway,
just won't do that because I just want to visit you. Anyway, go ahead.
Plus it's 2,500 miles away for you, so it's probably tough right now with everything going on, but,
it depends.
Yeah, but you mentioned Death of Superman, and, speaking of DC Comics, that's a great way to get into our first subject. Jessica Javicia, I can't say her name. Javicia Leslie, we're going to go with that, is the new...
We'll go with Miss Leslie.
Ms. Leslie is the new Batwoman. That was announced this week by DC. She was part of a show on CBS that lasted for 2 seasons called God Friended Me, which was kind of like that, Daily Edition, kind of like where the guy got the next day's paper and he could kind of fix things. This is kind of like where God would use Facebook for this one dude, and he would kind of like, everybody he got friended with randomly, he'd have to help. It's a fun concept, but lasted 2 seasons.
Sounds exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. I know how many Facebook friends I have. If I had to help all those people, holy cow. No,
you know what, admit a cruel irony is if it was MySpace in today's world. That's what they should have done. Tom needs help.
Yeah, who's Tom?
He's everyone's friend.
He's everyone's friend. But yeah, so she is the new Batwoman. I'm sure that we'll know how to say her name by the time this is all said and done. But she is taking over. She is obviously not playing Ms. Kane. She's going to play a whole new character. That's how they're going with this in the show. We've talked about this previously. But yeah, it seems that DC's going forward with this. This is another step for them. And also, speaking of DC and things happening with their shows, Stargirl, which was a DC Universe original, is officially moving to the CW. Lee, why is DC Universe still even a thing at this point?
Yeah, look, it's funny. They were late to the game with that. The idea was good in terms of like, oh, we can make a DC-heavy content network, but it should have been sold to an HBO or it should have been sold to, another network. It shouldn't have been its own thing. I mean, Marvel didn't create its own universe. They tagged on with Disney.
Disney
it's
Plus,
just,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just not clear thinking. Someone had an idea. Someone wanted to budget it. And again, the idea for original DC content in its own kind of area was not bad, but it should never have been its own thing that you have to pay for. It should have been with something else, in my opinion.
No, well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, especially now that HBO Max is out, you're basically competing with yourself.
Yeah.
And look, to me, this was always the plan, was that DC Universe was the test run. Work out the tech, work out the bugs, because they're all owned by AT&T. Work out the tech, work out the bugs, see what works, see what doesn't, and then pull the plug on it and move whatever works over to HBO Max or regular television, and then let DC Universe sunset. And I don't know if it's because they don't want to give refunds to people who have subscriptions, which honestly I would say we might find out September. So the series launched, the service launched in September 2 years ago. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if September, when all the annual subscription, anybody who annually upped, if that's when they pull the plug, so they don't have to pay anybody back.
Well, here's the thing, Ray. This is the missed opportunity of that app, to my knowledge. And I'll say this: I'm about to suggest something. I don't even know if they've done it, but it hasn't been marketed that they've done it. This pandemic was their ultimate chance to do something with it. Yeah. In the sense of no one can go to the comic book store. So why are you not putting the new comics on that app? Yeah. For me to read for free during the pandemic. Yeah. As a value added. Because I'll tell you right now, if I was a heavy DC comic reader and I heard that DC is giving all their comics away for free for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is, all right? Yeah. On that app, I bet you a lot of people would have subscribed right away, and they might have found an answer to getting comics and transitioning fully. And again, they may be doing that. I don't even know because it's never been advertised. I doubt that they're doing that.
No, they're not doing it.
Yeah, because they're looking at the bottom line. Yeah. But, well, that's too long. How could they make money? I don't know. I got Disney Plus for free for a year. Yeah. I got it free for a year because of an affiliation I'm with like Verizon or something like that. Everybody else got Apple TV for a year. I mean, like, you got to read the room here, all right? Give your comic books away for a year. First off, you have the money to keep people employed mostly to do that, especially in the comic book world. Second of all, you would have created extreme value for that app. You would have got everyone's email. You would have got all the data you needed. You could have known what people were reading, when they were reading it, how fast they were reading it. You could have got their preferences, and then you could have tailored them a package. Even have them deliver their comic. I mean, how about this idea, right? What if that app was able to deliver the comics you want to read every Tuesday or Wednesday when the comics come out digitally, all right? Yep. With what's going on in the comic print world, it is not sustainable. It will not survive. No. This was their chance to do something about that, and they could have jumped to Marvel big time. I know that there's like Comixology and there's other apps out there for this, They should have done that with the DC universe, which houses almost all of their old comics.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't think anyone even had that idea, and I think that's incredible that they were not able to monetize that system. Again, if Ray, you are a big DC comic guy.
Yes.
I'd even say at one point, most of your life you're more DC than Marvel.
At one point,
right?
yes.
So, with even though you worked within this app, I bet you if they gave away the lineup for free, you would have done something to get that back or something to get those comics again.
No, I think I think that and again, you mentioned that this is really a missed opportunity for DC. I think the DC universe in general, they weren't thinking. Again, this is why I don't think they were ever thinking this was going to be a long-term thing. This was a test run. This was something for HBO Max. This was just a and I think that, again, they haven't pulled the plug on it yet, folks, but as you see, Harley Quinn and Doom Patrol leave for HBO Max. You see Stargirl leave for CW.
Yeah,
you see
Swamp
Thing leaving for CW. It looks like that the service is not going to be around much longer because, again, it just makes no sense to keep it around much longer. You're starting to compete with yourself. I think that if they had done something more with the comic books, and I understand it. Look, and we've talked about this. We've talked about, we actually have a great guest on later this week in Ray Santiago, an old friend of ours from ESPN and MSG. And we know him from college, but that's where he is now. And we talked about tradition, and that sometimes there's too much tradition in sports and other things, and I think there's also too much tradition in comic books. And I think that instead of upsetting the status quo, which DC ended up doing anyway by breaking away from Diamond Distributors and doing the service and all this other stuff, they really should have taken a longer, harder look at the comic model in general and tried to come up with a better solution. And this is, again, another missed opportunity.
How much is DC Universe?
I think it's like $5.99 a month or something, $6.99 a month maybe.
I mean, look, they could have made a subscription for comics. It would have made too much sense. It probably would have salvaged the whole thing. Or you could have made the first hybrid. I bet you HBO wouldn't have been against it, doing something like that. The HBO needs a way to stand out from Disney Plus and Netflix and Hulu and everything.
Comic books would be a great way to do it.
Yeah, well, hey, we offer comic books now. All right, what do you mean? We're on demand with comic books. You can download HBO Max and read comic books. Or it's an add-on service for $1 a month. Mm-hmm. And it's like, look, here's the deal. When you take out the production costs of comics, and as Ray just said, look, I love physical comics for most of my life, but we don't need them anymore.
No.
They're killing trees, all right? It's just...
they take up so much space.
Yeah, you just don't need them anymore. And again, I'm not trying to offend any of you that like to collect comics. Like, I really do get it. But it's like, we got to evolve with the times here. And it's not going to get any easier. So, when you take the production run out of comics, I wonder how much money you save as a business when you don't have to print thousands of these things every week.
Pay the distributors,
And what were comics? How much did comics cost recently? If you go to a
probably about $3.99 a pop.
Right. So that comes down to $1 a comic now, in my opinion. All right. Yeah. And here's the thing: you'll sell more. So whatever. Yeah. Do the math. DC, Marvel, Dark Horse. God knows you need it. Yeah. Figure it out. I mean, like you should be incorporate. It's like Amazon, right? Incorporate everything. Start bringing these things in. Mm-hmm. I would not be surprised if Disney does this one day. At Disney Plus, you can get your comics on Disney Plus. Right? Yeah. And if not everyone's going to use that service, maybe it's $1 add-on to get unlimited comics. All right. Again, it's one of the things. Ray, would you do that for $1? I mean,
yes,
I do that for $1.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. That's a throwback to
I mean, even for a couple of bucks. I mean, here's the thing: like DC Universe is the cost of every month about 2 comic books, right? Like if Disney was like, hey, listen, $3.99, add an extra $3.99 a month to your subscription. That's 1 comic book. We give you all the comic books.
Yeah.
Everybody, so many people would jump on board with that. And now, sadly, I will say this: it would probably mean the death of the mom and pop, the local comic book shop.
It would, but that's going to happen at this point anyway, unless they can innovate something about the market.
It's going to go the way of Blockbuster and the video stores.
Blockbuster,
and everything.
GameStop is on its way out. I mean, guys, listen, I got to say this again. I hate that the industry is dying, but the industry is dying. And again, unless someone out there, and if you do, comment below. I'd love to hear $1 million idea. If you have some way to save the comic book store, let us know. But it's like the phone book, guys. I don't know what to say. It's not going to be around much longer.
Yeah.
Unless something completely innovative happens with it, and I just don't see that happening. So,
yeah.
And it's not just expanding to other things. They've already done that. All right, they've already done that.
Yeah.
With action figures and obviously paraphernalia and gifts. I mean, GameStop. When you go into GameStop, I mean, it's tough to find the games now.
Yes.
All right. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, it's like I'm just kind of reading the writing on the wall, and what's important is that the comic book industry survives, all right? And the mom and pop shops, I'm a business owner, you know this. If they have not been preparing to go out of business for the last 5 years, I don't know what to say. They're in denial.
Yeah.
All right? That's just the reality of it, all right? My only suggestion would be make it, well, and this is going to be tough now too in the future, you should be transitioning now to a place that, I actually mean this pretty sincerely, that people like us, when we were kids, the D&D players, the board game players, the game players, give them a haven to go to, all right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, we didn't have that when we were kids, and if we found it, it was gold. All right, but
well, I mean, and that's why, like, I think places like Time Warp Comics and Games back in Jersey, where we used to go to during college, those places, they'll be able to survive because they also focus on board games, and they focus on having tournaments and card games and tournaments there, and having that space, that event space, geared towards geeks. They even think, I think at one point we're even looking at doing like even video game tournaments there and setting stuff up. Like you could do that, and that's how you get people in your store, and maybe they'll also buy some other stuff while they're there.
And you could go so far beyond this. Like, why is there not a World Series of Lego? All right, like, that was an idea I heard a while ago. It's still never happened.
Yeah,
right?
Well, they had a game show on it.
It was great. I watched that. Lego Masters. My son and I loved that. He was upset when it ended. But, like, you know, I'm going to say this, like, really sincerely. Look, I found sports, you know, when I was in my teens, and luckily, you know, I loved it. I never felt at home there. I felt at home with my geek friends. And, like, and again, I'm not going to guess. I went far in hockey, like, really far. I never felt at home with those people. I felt at home on the ice. I can't stress that enough. I mean, I skate better than I walk. That's very comfortable for me to be on the ice. That's why I took my family out there today. It means something to me. But I never felt as comfortable as I was talking with you, Ray, or even when I was younger before I met you, talking Star Wars with the kids at lunch.
Yeah.
Or going to the game club. Like, that was I felt so comfortable around those people. Yeah. Right? Are you providing that for your audience, or are you just trying to save your business? Because I'll tell you right now, if you offered me a $15 a month subscription today, 36 years old. Yeah. $5 a month, $15 a month to a local shop. You get to come in there and play games. I can bring my son. Yeah. I would do it. Obviously, after the pandemic ends, wear a damn mask. Anyway, Ray, go ahead.
Yeah, no, of course. No, I completely agree. It's a thought. I mean, and it's, again, those who innovate will survive. Those who do not change with the times will not.
I got to say this again real quick, and Ray knows this. Off of this isn't a plug. I won't even say what it is. I've created something off of this to help businesses transition to digital. Yeah. Because it's not, there's no scenario now where we don't move forward as a almost fully integrated digital society after the pandemic. My 80-year-old father is ordering groceries through an app. Okay? There has never been a push for this magnitude. In 2008, 2009, at the recession, we saw a pretty large uptick then. This is a tsunami, and that was a puddle. All right? In terms of digital inclusion in society. So and again, I get the traditionalist attitude. I get the attitude of not wanting to change things. It doesn't matter what you feel. It's what's happening that matters. You can't hold on to things that are going to get swept in a tsunami. You got to stay ahead of the tsunami till the waves come down and then float on top of it. That was an unintentional metaphor. My name is Lee Elias, and I'll be here all week.
Yes, as Lee mentioned, Lee, actually, is your book out? But Lee wrote a book. I'm going to plug it if you're not going to plug it. His business recovery checklist. Yes. Is it out? Is it out now?
I
is it available?
I don't know if it's out yet.
It is. I think it's out now. If he's holding it in his hand and you're watching the video.
No. Okay.
I have a PDF because I'm his best friend, so I don't.
That's you have. Well, actually, these are the first print copies that were made, but it is on Amazon. Yeah. But look. Just I do have to say this now that you brought it up. It's free. We're giving this book away for free. Yeah. We wrote it knowing we were going to give it away for free, and we're doing free education because the intention was to help businesses. Yeah. I always joke if you think free is too good to be true, it is. Obviously, we're offering coaching for discounted prices too, but no one has to do that. We honestly just wanted to give back because my businesses have been very fortunate during the pandemic in terms of we saw growth. We did a lot of good things. We wanted to give back. Also, we know, and again, so depending on where you sit politically, you may or may not agree with this, but we know that the small to medium-sized business is the beating heart of this country's economy. And, if that doesn't survive, my businesses don't survive. So we're trying to give back and be a team to that group of people, okay? So I do appreciate you plugging it, Ray. But yeah, like I said, we're giving this away for free. It's not a money grab in any way.
Go to Amazon, get that book, read it. Even if you're not even if you're just thinking about maybe starting a business, it's probably a good read and something to pick up.
Actually, someone said that to me that this was actually a really good starting point for anybody. I mean, obviously with the pandemic, the book is really written for the recovery of COVID-19, or as we say, we want you to thrive, not just survive, but it'll work for a new business owner either. But look, it is on Amazon. If you want to pay for a physical copy, the ebook is completely free. It's the exact same book. You get businessrecoverychecklist.com. It's there. Or obviously, if you listen to the show or watch the show, just DM me and we'll talk. I like to keep these things personal.
Yeah, for sure. So. Obviously, the Facebook group we plug it every week. Join the Facebook group. Send Lee a message. It's all good. We're something that I think Lee and I are always about, and we talk about a lot. We talk about privately is that we're always trying to help people. We're happy to help people when we can, when we're able to. So this is a great way to help people.
We're ready to believe you.
Yes.
I had to do it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I need a blue straitjacket.
The funny thing is your co-author, Travis, won't get that reference because he never saw the movie.
He never saw Ghostbusters. Everybody want you to know this. Travis Bowman, my co-anchor at We Live Hockey. He's a great friend of mine. He's a great friend of Ray's. Never seen Ghostbusters, and it's so bad, and he made fun of Ray and I so much that we actually got to a point now he won't watch it till Ray's here. Or we visit Ray. Never seen Ghostbusters. It's a sin. It's a sin. It's like never seeing Airplane.
It's an absolute geek sin. Yeah, no.
We say cross the streams, no idea. There is no Dana, no idea. Keymaster, Gatekeeper, nothing. Dead. Ecto 1, no. Slimer, nothing. Vakeman, nothing. Nothing, people. I have to deal with this daily.
I'm sorry.
Daily.
I'm sorry. We'll fix this. We'll fix this when the pandemic. Well,
we're gonna fix it.
Slime
them. Hose them.
The sad thing is, obviously, I was supposed to visit Philly earlier, but the pandemic, a pandemic happened. So, to rectify this situation, I know pandemic. Right. Air quotes, but
the pandemic. There's no pandemic. That's all fake. Come on.
I had the plane ticket bought. You know that.
Yeah. You let the fake pandemic scare you, Ray, for your rights. Right. Wear a mask.
Oh, gosh. Moving on now to video games. We talked about games.
Prince
of
Persia. You jumped over that cliff.
Yeah, there we
go. Sorry. Go ahead.
First off, quick fact correction: that Mario Brothers sold for $114,000.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was just $100,000 off.
Yeah.
No
Still, that's a huge number. But speaking of video games and a lot more than $114,000, Sony Games, obviously PlayStation, obviously bought a minority share of Epic Games, who, of course, the guys behind Fortnite, launched the Epic Games Store, which has really become a true competitor now to Steam, and again, we talk about this all the time. When people compete, the consumer wins, and this has allowed for Steam to start stepping up their game. Epic has come in and really started to revolutionize the PC space in terms of how you get your games. And it's a big deal now that Sony has joined them, because now you're starting to wonder. You see Microsoft has a lot of their games also, if not all of them at this point, also available on PC, right? When Xbox releases something, it's Xbox and PC. Obviously, Microsoft Windows, it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of integration there, a lot of synergy.
Yeah, it's quite easy for them to do.
You wonder if this is Sony's way now of kind of realizing, because we don't talk about this a lot. Obviously, I'm a console heavy gamer, but half the game consuming market is on PC. Literally half, or mostly PC, a little bit of Mac, but mostly PC. Half of it's on Steam and or now the Epic Games Store. This could be Sony's way to try and tap for them into an untapped market, especially when you look at Sony as a whole, and this has happened before. The games division has kept Sony afloat during bad times, when their movies flop, when their music division really had trouble selling televisions. A lot of Sony obviously is a big brand that has other arms of their company. When those don't do well, it's usually the games division that is consistently in the black and propping those others up when they're not turning a profit. With the state of movies right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they're in a similar situation again with that. And this could be a way for Sony to again possibly tap an untapped market and find a way to find more money. So this is, to me, a huge deal that they're buying a minority share in Epic Games. Lee, I want to get what do you think of this development?
Yeah, you want a good metaphor?
Yes.
Everyone wants a good metaphor.
Always.
I like the business side of this, as I often say. I kind of like study business almost like I look at business like sports, actually, and I'm thinking about it. And like what I think is from the late 70s to the early 80s, we were in that Earth was forming phase. There was eruptions, things were being tried, Nintendo exploded, and then Sega exploded, and then Neo Geo kind of was there, and then other things exploded, and then it kind of the Earth cooled. And, for a while there, we just kind of had it was like what it was. We had the N64, we had the PlayStation, we had Sega had their stuff. And then things really started evolving, and then, the single-celled organism showed up, and now we're in the probably, the Jurassic phase or the dinosaur phase, whatever, where things are literally starting to eat each other and evolve and grasp for things. So what you're seeing here, although primitive, is this industry, which has already been massive, really starting to get big, right? And again, I have said this. Even though, Ray, what was the number on gaming? How much does gaming bring in a year? Is an industry?
Oh God, I mean the last estimate was, I think it was close to profit about $60 billion a year. $60
billion. Okay, like that will seem small. This is an industry that's heading for the trillions of dollars. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that, and this is what I always found funny. I think the cap off for gamers is about 60 right now, meaning that and that would be an early gamer. That's like someone who was like 20 when Pong came out.
Yeah.
Right. The older we all get, and the new generation comes into it, this is only going to grow and grow until it's the entire population, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about it, like 35 to 40% of our population probably doesn't game still, and they're all older.
Yeah.
All right.
No, that's true.
You're starting to see this like really take hold and grow and grow and grow. I've invested in gaming companies because of this, because there's no direction it's going to go.
It's becoming a cornerstone of our culture. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I look at my son, and he's 6, and it's just like his obsession with it's amazing to me. All right. Now I'm wanting him to be obsessed with other things too. All right, like physical activity and eating.
Yeah.
All right, just so he does those things, but like he's upset, like and you realize like this is not going to go away. Like this is something he's going to grow up with. So follow me here. My attitude with him is like, well, I can do what my parents did. It was like, it's going to rot in your brain and don't play too much. And realize that like, no, man, this could actually be good for him. It's strategy.
Yep.
You can't do it for 18 hours
Problem
a day.
solving, critical thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of value in that industry, in the storytelling, the creativity. I mean, and he's watching games now on TV.
Yeah.
All right. He's like watching games on YouTube, people playing games on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, that he's played. So anyway, where I'm going with all this, just to bring it full circle, is that when you look at what Sony's doing, I mean these are titans shifting tectonic plates now.
Yeah.
All right, and the continents are starting to move. All right, and that's what I'm trying to say is that everyone's trying to get their grip on this, and it's obviously not just gaming; it's also streaming digital media, right?
Yeah.
Like gaming is going that direction, obviously. So. When you tell me that there's competitors coming, it's not surprising to me. When you tell me that, when you look at something like Steam, when you look at Epic and what they're doing, like, I mean, the future's clear.
Yeah.
All right. If you choose to believe it. So I think it's a brilliant move by Sony.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, you, like I said, this is one of those things. Except for Nintendo, somehow Nintendo is just in a world of their own.
Yep, on their own little island, literally and figuratively in Japan.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, what they've done is kind of unbelievable. I mean, to be an outlier. Again, Nintendo to me is like a third-party candidate winning presidency. It's it's just weird.
Yep.
All right, but everybody else, if you don't stay ahead of the game, you're gonna get left behind. Sega did that. They got left behind. They did not innovate fast enough.
Yeah.
All right, and now they're left behind. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, until that Game Gear Mini thing comes out, for sure they're going to be left behind.
The thing is I will say this about the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast was actually ahead of its time. The problem was there were no good games on the. There weren't enough good games on the Dreamcast. I should say
it was ahead of its time, but there were no good games, and being ahead of your time is not good.
No.
Okay, so
that happened with the
all
first
about
disc drives. People forget they don't think PlayStation 1 was not the first disc drive system.
No,
you had the 3DO, you had Jaguar, you had stuff like that. You had all this other stuff that was kind of pushing that first.
GameCube. Yeah.
Well, GameCube came after PS1, but
no, I know. I'm just saying that.
They tried the mini discs and that didn't work.
Yeah.
Like it just and the thing is that sometimes when we've talked about this too, is that sometimes it's better not to be the first one across the finish line when it comes to some of these things, because the market won't adapt until even with technology. So the Wii was a huge success. Nintendo was using that technology with Nintendo and the Super Nintendo with the Zapper and the Super Scope, but they didn't really catch on that much. Then suddenly they do it with the Wii 15 years later, and suddenly it's the biggest thing in the world for 5 years.
Apple is the best example by far.
Yes.
Okay, you could Apple didn't create the first computer. Apple didn't create the first smartphone. Apple didn't create the first music service. They perfected them by watching things. There were smartphones before the iPhone. I remember them. I remember the one was called the Sidekick. I remember this, and like it was a big deal if you had a BlackBerry in 200003.
Yeah,
it meant you were important.
Yeah,
it meant you had to get your emails on your phone. But the modern state. I said this joke before, and people still make fun of me this. But when the first iPhone came out, I said that I should buy stock in Apple today because I'll be a millionaire in 10 years. And I didn't do it. Keeping in mind, I was in my mid-20s. I didn't have any real money back then.
Yeah.
But people still make fun of me because I was totally right about that. I said everyone's going to have this phone in 5 years, or a phone like it. And that's what happened. Yeah. But it's the same thing when you think about like the systems and stuff like this. It's coming too early, coming too late. You really have to time things out, and that's why these companies got their claws on each other all the time.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you right now, and then there's Nintendo, which is like the Switch is the most innovative, obvious idea in gaming. Yeah. And Xbox and PlayStation won't do it. Yeah. And I don't know why. Maybe they don't want to compete with Nintendo. But like this, to me, the Switch is the Switch is the most obvious thing I've ever seen. You can put it on the big screen. You can take it with you. That's what we've always wanted. The only thing close to that is this, and this doesn't have the same amount of games on it.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of it is that Nintendo has a stranglehold on. They always have, right? Since the Game Boy. The Game Boy did better than the Game Gear. Nintendo DS and 3DS did better than the PSP and PS
better
Vita. It came on the better games, better gimmicks, and it's the same thing. I think that, because of that, Sony is now gun shy from getting back into the handheld market. Sure. And it's kind of allowed Nintendo to kind of have this monopoly. And
except for apps, like that's the only competitor.
Right, exactly. And again, like you said, the game quality. Nintendo's games are of the quality of Xbox One and PS4, but and you have a bigger variety of them.
Like look at Odyssey, right? Like look at Super Mario Odyssey. It's like if you guys haven't played that game, and if you have or haven't, you can go on YouTube and just watch a few minutes of the gameplay. Because it's fascinating. It's incredible the amount of scope that went into making those games. Yep. And you start to realize Nintendo doesn't mess around with their games. They're going to make the best possible game. Obviously, Zelda Breath of the Wild is an incredible world. I mean, again, they just got something different. I can't think of another example. I really can't. It's just
it goes back to Miyamoto saying this years ago, and it's been a cornerstone of Nintendo's gaming philosophy ever since. They're like, we don't mind delaying games because, especially back then before the day of patches, is like a delayed game is temporary, a bad game is forever.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true. Yeah, and I'm paraphrasing there, of course, but that's basically the gist of it, and it's just something to think of. Just also real quick with the numbers. So Sony invested, it was $250 million in Epic. That brought Epic's stock price now, the Epic company, is now worth just under $18 billion. That's what they're worth now. And speaking again, going back to the $60 billion, if you don't think that's a lot, keep in mind the music industry only makes about $5 billion profit a year. Yeah. Movie industry is about 10 to 15. Any given sports league is between 10 and 20 billion. So the gaming is bigger than most of those combined. So
it will be $1 trillion industry in our lifetime. I believe that.
Probably.
I believe that.
So, and speaking of games, it was a big game. It was a big day today for release dates. Ubisoft had their first, their streaming event, as we've been getting a lot of these lately. Usually Ubisoft is one of the big four who has an E3 presser, or big five or big six, depending. But Ubisoft is always one of the ones that are there. They announced. They announced a couple of games, but they what was really big is they gave solid release dates for a lot of games. The big game they unleashed was, and it's not surprising that they're doing another one, is Far Cry 6. They announced Far Cry 6 will be out in February of next year, which is a big deal. No surprise, again, a new world, new protagonist, new antagonist.
Give them the greatest hits. Yeah,
like and
give them what they want.
Basically, yeah. Well, especially after everything that they've been dealing with the Me Too movement, and obviously a culture there that obviously is going to be undergoing some drastic and much needed changes. You had Assassin's Creed got November 17th is their release date. Again, no surprise so they're probably releasing right around. That also could be a hint of when the new consoles are coming, because that means that they're going to want to be on both, and it's going to be like right around then. And also Watch Dogs Legion, which also, again, could be the last big game of them for this current generation, because this game has been delayed again and again and again and again. I don't know if it'll be on. It'll probably get ported to next gen as well. But end of October 29th, I believe, was the date for that. So, again, 3 big hits. I'm wearing my Watch Dogs shirt today. So that's the third game in that series.
I'm wearing my Lou Brown shirt from Major League.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. That's a good one. We'll get into baseball later, but that so big announcements there from Ubisoft. Yeah, like Lee, like you said, it's the greatest hits. They came out with the biggest hits. They announced the Rainbow Six.
You gotta go with that.
A Rainbow Six mobile game, which is like whatever, but like everything else, pretty solid.
It's a smart move. I mean, you don't want to risk anything during this time period. I mean, you go with the smart move right now if you're a business owner, and if you're a gaming company, give the people what they want right now. Keep them on board. You're not going to be able to do the pressures you want to do.
Yeah.
All right. Give them what they want. That's what you should do. I mean, like I'm trying to think if anybody has taken a risk right now, like calculated risk. Like PlayStation's taking a risk just the way they're releasing things because they're not ready, which is a risk. Like I mean, do you know of any gaming companies taking like a calculated, like we're thinking outside the box, we're taking a major risk right now?
No.
Because I can't think of one.
No.
Yeah, and they shouldn't do it. They don't need to do it.
No.
All right. Like I know everybody wants to be wowed by something right now. The biggest risk is what the PlayStation looks like.
Yeah.
Right?
No. Exactly.
So. All right, and you're still going to buy it if you're a Sony person. So, like, that's what I'm trying to say is that they don't need to take a risk. You don't need to sacrifice your industry right now. You go for a Hail Mary. Make it work, keep it going. And when things get back to normal, you take the risk with the new generation next year. That's what you do.
Yes.
You don't do it this year.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is help push the consoles out, come out with the biggest hits, come out swinging. I will say this: I'm excited for. I mean, I'm always excited for Assassin's Creed because I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. Yes, but I'm really glad that they're leaning more into actual. So the past 2 games, they got away from the idea of assassinating. It was more of like more like an open world action RPG kind of thing. Now, and a lot of people, myself included, were always frustrated with the idea, like, well, I get to jump on these guys, but because I'm 3 levels below them, I can't one-hit assassinate them, and it kind of takes away the assassin part of Assassin's Creed. Yeah. They fixed that in Valhalla. You can assassinate a weaker person than you pretty much easily with a one-hit kill. If they're above you, they do it's a timing mini game basically, where it's like a ring shrinks, and if you hit it at the right moment, you'll get the one-hit kill, which kind of actually is a cool idea because it's like, if you miss with your hidden blade and you don't hit the right artery or whatever, well, guess what? You're not going to kill them with one hit. So it's like it's actually a really ingenious, ingenious mechanic to come up with a way to add back in a mechanic that a lot of us have missed. As great as Origins and Odyssey both were. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, by the way, not Mario Odyssey. That'd be really
Imagine
weird.
A one kill and you missed Bowser's rattle vein. Oh no.
Yeah. Exactly. So that was
that had blades in it. Starts killing everything it touched.
Well, then he'd be Odd Job from James Bond.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Really, a shoe?
Yeah,
throws a shoe. Sorry, that's an Austin Powers reference.
Yeah. Oh man, so that's it from Ubisoft. Other video game news this week. A big puzzle game that I'm really super excited about came out this week. I actually played it. I beat it on my stream on Friday. It did pretty well. Superliminal came out last year on PC. Was a lot of people's puzzle game of the year. It just came out to consoles this past week. So if you are a puzzle game fan and you have either Switch, Xbox, or PlayStation, it is now available on all of those. And actually, I think for the next week, I know at least on Xbox it's 20% off. So if you have that, I'm not sure about PlayStation and Nintendo, but definitely give that probably across the board. but give that a look. It has a really great message about tackling problems from a different perspective. And really that being, and it kind of really is a lesson that to take, that's the main mechanic of the game, but it kind of then relates it to like your life in general. And I think it actually is a really great message that like that if people kind of the same idea that if you do the same thing over and over again, they call you insane, expecting a different result. This is basically being like, don't be afraid to tackle a problem from a different perspective and a different angle, because it's the only way that you'll avoid failure, because doing it the same way over and over again and leading to failure, you're going to get the same result. It's actually a really great message, cool, as well as a great game. And it's a short game. It's 3 to 4 hours. I beat it in just over 4 hours on my stream. And it was a lot of fun and some really cool stuff. If you like games like Portal, this is definitely probably something you'll want to give a look. I give it an 8 out of 10. And then Iron Man VR, if you have a PSVR, let me tell you, folks, this is the best game for PlayStation VR, hands down. I had so much fun with it. It's probably about a 6 to 8 hour experience. You have all different kinds of armor: Iron Patriot, War Machine, Purple Rain, which is awesome. For those of you who don't know, that's like a full purple suit. Like it's like his space armor. Like everything is in there that you can think of, and it's they do a really great way of reinterpreting some classic villains from like the old Iron Man comics, including spoiler alert, Living Laser. He's not the main villain, but when he shows up, if you're an old school comic book fan, you're kind of like, oh, this is awesome. Like, yeah, like, and he's not like a cheesy goofball villain. Like now he's like actually like something to like, it's really fun. It's really well done. If you don't have a PSVR, I will say this, I don't think it's worth, there is the $350 version, which is where you get the headset plus the game and all the other stuff. I don't know if that alone is worth it, unless you're going to really suddenly get into VR. But if you're just looking for a $40 game and you're already invested in VR like I have, totally worth it. Ton of fun.
It's a must-have. You said it's a must-have.
It's a must-have if you already have a VR headset, yes. Yeah, exactly. I would give it honestly, aside, the only real gripe I have with the game is the load times are very, very long. But I would probably give it an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10, honestly.
Wow, how long are we talking? A minute?
Yeah, like it's for a game like this, it's a long load time.
I guess you got to think about what it's loading, right? It's the 3D environment.
No, for sure, I completely get that, and that's also, I will say this, with the fact that PSVR is going to be compatible with PS5, which is supposed to be cutting down on load times, you might want to think actually about looking into it down the road.
You're a PlayStation person,
yeah, if you're a Sony person, for sure, but. Yeah, I have 2 great games, and God knows I needed them because I have nothing to play.
Play-by-play Ray. Play-by-play Ray.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if you want, that's actually, we're gonna probably. It's not gonna be my official stream name, but type stream.
It should be. But it should be your official stream name.
Well, I mean, it won't be my, like, the channel name. It's still going to just be Ray Carcillo, but, like, the streams will now be Play-by-Play by Ray, or Play-by-Play Ray.
Play-by-play Ray.
Play-by-play Ray. It took me 3.5 months to come up with that.
Lose just Facebook. Play-by-play Ray.
Play-by-play Ray. So,
Ray's Play-by-play.
Yeah,
no, Play-by-play Ray.
Play-by-play Ray, I think, is for those of you watching. Am I
okay?
Speaking of advancing with the times, by the way, I have a TikTok now, and my TikTok is actually exploding because I didn't realize there was that many other people who really like baseball video games out there.
If only someone had given you a heads up on that, it would have been so much better for you.
Speaking of heads up in Pokemon Go.
Are we talking about Pokemon Go now? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, no, Lee.
I gotta get ready for Pokemon Go. Yeah.
There we go. Lee's got his Ash hat on now.
Okay, we gotta do this segment quick because it's really tight. Let me loosen this up. I think Logan was wearing this last time. All right, there we go. All right, there we go. I'm ready to talk about Pokemon.
I was gonna say it looked a little small on your head.
It was a little tight there. Yeah, I'm good now though. I opened the back.
Great.
Let's do this part.
So speaking of heads up, if you look up in Pokemon Go now, if you pull out, you'll actually see they've added a thing with Team Rocket. There is now Of course, from the cartoon, this is classic. Jesse and James for a long time had a hot air balloon. That's how they would make their getaways a lot of time. And they've added, though, Team Rocket balloons and even a Jesse and James Meowth balloon to the game to help you with a current event going on as we prepare for Go Fest in a couple of weeks. That reminds me I need to buy my pass.
Me too. Yes.
And they... so if you're into the Team Rocket battles but don't want to go outside, this is a way for Team Rocket to come to you.
And they do. It's actually a pretty cool thing. At first, I thought it was like, oh, okay, what are we doing now? Because the Team Rocket, once you beat the original Team Rocket Go missions with Giovanni, it's a little bit repetitive. It's extremely repetitive, actually. You don't want to do it again. And that's never good when you have a game in the game that you don't want to do, right?
Yeah.
But this air balloon, the hot air balloon thing has really kind of reinvented it. Like, again, they have new Pokemon. It's a little harder to beat them than it was the first time around, at least for people of my level. And they do. They show up right above you, and you can battle them right there, so you don't have to go to Pokestops, which, again, give Niantic a lot of credit for finding a creative, canon-level way to make this game viable at home. It's funny. A friend of mine was like, people still play that? I said, a lot of people still play this.
Yeah,
a lot of people still play this. And,
a lot.
And they're making more innovations. Like we know that there's going to be shared raids soon where Ray and I can invite each other to a raid. They did just have this great event. We talked about this. It was a great time to get into the game recently because they went generation by generation and really did a lot. Speaking of that, Ray, I think we're at the point we can actually start to track this. As of today, and I got lucky here, in one of my challenges today, I hit a Pokemon that I have never caught, which means that from the original region, I have 148 now.
Nice.
All right. So I'm actually getting very close. And the reason I bring this up, I'm going to my Pokédex right now, for those of you not watching. So in the Kanto region, was there 150?
151.
151, yeah, that's right.
Oh, did you catch Mew today? Did you finally catch Mew? Was that it?
I've had Mew. No, I've had Mew. Do you know who
Okay.
I caught today? I got, what's his name? I got Hitmonlee.
Oh,
Right.
yes.
So, okay,
yes,
so 'cause
yes,
he
that's
was in
one of the rewards
eggs.
for the mission quest now. Yes.
Yeah, now here's the problem. I need to get Kagangastan, which is apparently very hard to get.
Kangaskhan.
That's what I said, Kagangastan? It's Kangaskhan. I just wanted to see what you would do if I said that. Kagangastan. Come on, it says Kagangastan for those of you watching. Kagangastan. All right, Kangaskhan, who is...
Which I have one for you to trade, so...
Well, that's big because he's only available in Australia. And then 144 and 145, which I believe are those two birds.
Yeah, that's Articuno and Zapdos, yeah.
Right. So, and I don't have those, and I had a chance to get Zapdos, but obviously that went wayside recently. But I did appreciate the game finally giving me a Pokemon that I needed, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, here's the deal. The reason why I bring this up to everybody is because I remember when someone first completed the Kanto region 5 years ago, it was a huge deal that someone had caught all 151.
Yeah.
And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did you see this, Ray?
Well, technically, so they've added a couple of Pokemon from the Galar region, but it's not the full. It is not the full Galar Pokedex.
No, it's just two. There's just two in here.
Yeah, it's the Zigzagoon and
Obstagoon, yeah.
Yeah,
and,
it's the Zigzagoon evolution and Berserker, which is the Meowth new evolution that they added, which I love.
Yeah, so I'll be able to try and get those. But yeah, interesting time to get in the game. We've said this. If you're looking for a cool game to play on your phone, whether you like Pokemon or not, I didn't really do Pokemon too much before this game. And having kids, it's a good time to get in right now because they're doing a lot of innovative stuff. It's fun to play from home. It's funny when we interviewed Mark Friedman of the Philadelphia Flyers. He said he plays this game because you got to get the steps in somehow because he goes for runs and walks just like I do.
Yep.
But really, I think it says a lot. This game's been around for 6 years. People still play it. They continually innovate it.
Well, 4 years.
Fun.
4 years, but still.
6 years, Kangaskhan, Kangangastan, which is a country next to whatever. All right. But yeah, so we're keeping our eyes on this, and I'm going to end this segment because I need to get this hat off.
Yeah, no, it's just great that they, like you said, they continue to innovate. There's a new Pokemon actually being added that's not in the Pokedex right now. Well, I mean, it is in the Pokedex, but it's being added on Friday, so there'll be another one that we can get, and that has an evolution, so that's 2 more being added. And then there's another one, another legendary being added during Pokemon Go Fest, which should be great for everybody. So more being added all the time. The Pokedex obviously is starting to fill up. I'm still looking for a few myself, but I have everything in Region 1. I'm missing 1 from Region 2, and a few others. I've caught 588 in the first 5 generations. So
insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
I mean, going to Australia a couple of years ago helped, and now I have to go again probably because they keep adding more.
When you got there, when you landed, because I know you got off the plane or even turned it on before the plane, did you see new ones right away? Like things you'd never seen before right away, or did you have to move around a bit?
Not right away. Well, I saw one new one right away. I did see one new one. But yeah, and of course, Lee's right. Basically, as soon as I got off the plane and got onto the Australian Wi-Fi, I jumped on Pokemon Go.
First thing he did.
And by the way,
not called his mother. I landed safe. No, it's just
I jumped on Pokemon Go. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. It was. Yeah, I didn't let the people know that I was meeting up with that I landed. No, I jumped on Pokemon Go. And what's great is that there's a lot of places in Australia. If you are a diehard Pokemon Go person, go to Melbourne because Melbourne has free Wi-Fi in most of the city. And you just connect to it. It's just a free Wi-Fi network in the heart of Melbourne. And let me tell you, that's where I caught most of the Pokemon I needed in Australia because I could just walk. I could walk around. I walked all the First off, Melbourne is a beautiful city, as is Sydney. But Melbourne is absolutely amazing, and it's amazing to walk. There's tremendous gardens, museums everywhere. It is fantastic. I also went to the Olympic Stadium that they built from the 60s. Even though it's their major cricket ground, I don't know a lot about cricket, but it was cool to go there to see the Olympics, all the Olympic shrines and stuff like that as a sports fan. But also, there's a lot of Pokemon in Melbourne.
Yeah, I love. What'd you do in Australia? Did you see this? Did you see that? Yeah, but I got Kangaskhan. It's Genghis Khan. It's whatever. I got it, and you don't have it. So, no, I remember, look, man, it's gutsy to take a trip like yourself to the other side of the world. You did. It's a 14-hour time delay from where I'm at. It's 18 for you.
Yeah.
No, 14, 15. It's 18, yeah.
It's
17, 18 hours. It's just,
I think it's
we have a listener from there.
It's a 19-hour difference for me.
Wow.
And
crazy.
The eastern coast of Australia. So yeah,
that's true because there's multiple time zones in Australia. To be fair,
yeah. So I went to Sydney, and then I spent 5 days in Sydney. I spent 5 days in Melbourne, and it was my first vacation in 9 years.
It's funny. We have a listener from there, Mark Pollard, and it's funny because it's winter there right now.
Yeah.
And
I
he
went
loves
in February.
the summer.
I went in February, right in the middle of summer. So.
Yes, I would be the opposite. I want to go there in the winter. So we have a friend there right now. He wants to be here because it's hot here, and I want to be down there because it's hockey season down there. I mean, it's winter. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Down under right now. Real quick question, Ray. We say down under. Did they say up over?
No.
No, because that would be dumb. Because down under is dumb. It's called Australia. It's a continent. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. No. It's
a continent.
They don't talk about it. They just call it. They're just like, oh, in the states. It's just the states or the U.S. or whatever. It's just
Yeah.
We're just we're a country, another country. So.
Yes. Well, he's a big NHL fan, so he's envious of that. Colorado Avalanche. Don't know how that happened, but whatever.
Anyway, but well, his team's got a good chance to go far in the playoff tournament. We'll get to that later. But our last geeky segment, Lee finally watched Hamilton this week on Disney. We mentioned Disney Plus earlier, this was a huge addition to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
They should do this honestly with more Broadway shows that have been around for a few years and stuff. And
Back to the Future. We're talking to you.
Yeah.
Oh, and all the other great ones from history.
Yes.
That
But Hamilton was I really enjoyed Hamilton. I thought it was tremendous. Lee, what did you think of Hamilton?
Yeah, so again, normally musical Broadway theater wouldn't be in a geek segment, but here's the deal. Ray and I are a little bit of history buffs. I'm definitely a Revolutionary War history buff. This is what I'll say. That is the most, and you may have heard things like this before, and I'm telling you that this is the most creatively innovative thing I've ever seen in my life. It completely lived up to the praise. I mean, this thing has everything: comedy, romance, tragedy, action.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen such a fully well-rounded form of entertainment before. And I'm grouping that in with everything, including Marvel's The Avengers and Endgame. I've never seen anything quite like this. Obviously taking a hip-hop approach to history.
Yeah.
The speed at which some of these people rap is incredible. Buster Rhymes level.
The congressional rap battle, to me, is still the best part of the show, to me, personally.
Yeah, no, dude. I'm not. I mean, look, it's not like a spoiler event if you know anything about history, but
Yeah.
I would say that if you do not see this work of art, it's a mistake. I mean, I've never seen anything quite this different before and creative before. You will come away feeling good about your country. Some of us really need that right now.
Yes.
All right. I would actually go to say is if you come away not feeling good about it, you might need to examine how you're looking at things. It didn't touch on every aspect or every little single thing that it could.
No, I mean it was still 2.5 hour show, 2.5 hour show to like cover 20 years.
Yeah, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
Said that criticism is actually super fair. He's like, I fit in everything I could in 2.5 hours, but I just could not fit everything in. And, it's like there's other things that could have been in there. But with that said, it really does show a lot about the history of this country, the revolution, the fact that Alexander Hamilton was an immigrant. A lot of people don't realize that he came from Nevis.
Yeah.
And then, obviously Lafayette plays a big role in this. And, there's a
The
lot
French
of great... There's a lot of great stories in this that will give you a different perspective on both the revolution and the birth of the Constitution and the country, while also making you proud to be from here. Really, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, there's so much divisiveness right now. This is something that I thought brought us together. I don't think I give it any higher praise than I did at the beginning. It is the most creative entity I have ever seen. I have never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
Right? It's original in terms of the way it was done. And I'm glad I took the time to watch it. And you should too, if you have the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it is 2.5 hours, but there's an intermission in the middle. You can always pause it, come back to it. That's the beautiful thing about it being on Disney Plus now. It
had everything. I mean, I could not believe the range of emotions that I felt while watching that.
Yeah. I mean, and to Lee's point, I mean, especially now, I think this is also a great chance to possibly remind some people what exactly our country stands for and what it's always kind of tried to stand for, and the need for compromise at times, and the need to come together for a greater good.
Yeah.
Wear your masks. But I mean, it's definitely it was a tremendous show. It was so worth it. Couldn't get enough of it. I probably because I have a bit of a little bit of a theater background, appreciated it maybe a little bit more in certain aspects. I was in I did the school play growing up and other stuff like that, and then of course usually I'll admit if I do a musical, I love comedy, just straight up comedy, like Spam-A-Lot, which is Monty Python, Book of Mormon, which obviously by the guy, Matt Stone, Trey Parker, the South Park guys, hysterical. I go for comedies straight up. To get a historical comedy drama rap battle,
it was incredible. Look. No matter how you want to break it down, from the lyrical content side, it's amazing. Yeah. From a performance side, it's amazing. From a musical side, it's amazing. From a set design standpoint, which unfortunately I don't think Disney Plus could even capture that. But what it did capture, I was like, my God. This is, I mean, the production level of this behind the scenes is amazing. And then from an Easter egg standpoint, I've been reading about these the last few days. There are a lot of Easter eggs in the musical that I didn't realize. I'll give you an example. Like one of the criticisms that this has gotten, one of the few, is that it didn't address slavery enough, right? Yeah. And again, Miranda had said that that's a fair criticism. It does address it. It just doesn't address it enough. But there's little things I'm reading about. For example, towards the end. Hamilton's wife Eliza has a major it's not a monologue, major song at the end about kind of where things go, and at one point she talks about how she stood up against slavery, and little things like Thomas Jefferson, the man paying him, backs up into the shadows and puts his head down in shame. Like there's a lot of little nuances in this musical, in this production. I mean, it's bordering close to perfection. I mean, it's like if it's a 0 to 10 rating, this is like a 9.9, guys. I don't know what else to say. I've never seen, and I've seen plenty of Broadway. I've seen plenty of musicals to echo what Ray's saying in musical theater. I've never seen anything like this. It's a 9.9. Okay, it's definitely not perfect, but it's a 9.9.
Yeah, no, it's. Again, he did Lin-Manuel Miranda did the best he could. Again, also because he could easily have done a 4-hour show, and to get more of the history in. But it's like it has to be consumable. And I think, and again, that set, that stage with the rotating pieces and everyone's movement, and also to Lee's point, I've also been looking at the Easter eggs and how there's one person in the ensemble who's always in charge of the bullets that are flying across the screen, and she's basically always there when death is about to occur, and they call her she's unnamed.
And the bullet is a character. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, and it's amazing, and also the idea of how important duels were in the early part of our country. Yeah. Like this was actually a very common thing. Like it just was. It's fantastic, and it also even that. The idea, it also makes so much sense now because if you look at the symbol for Hamilton, it's a star. It's a 5-point star, but the point of the star is Hamilton with his fist raised, his gun in the air, and that means once you watch the show, that means so much now. An explanation, not to spoil anything, but it just has to do with honor and other stuff, and it's really
there's a lot.
There's a lot there, a lot to digest, and it's just fascinating.
This is something I'll tell everybody listening, because most of us probably are, cinephiles, right? Is that, I want to watch this again, but I need time to digest it before I'm going to be able to watch it again. I think that says something. You know what I mean? Like when I watched Endgame, I needed a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I watched Infinity War, especially Infinity War, which is a better movie than Endgame, I'll keep saying that. They're both great. I needed a minute. I needed to digest that film. I watched this thing. I finished it a couple days ago. I'm not ready to watch it again yet.
No, me either.
So like that says something. It makes you think after you see it. And again, the last thing I'll say with the criticism is this musical's about Hamilton. It's not about all the founding fathers specifically. Right. It's about specifically Alexander Hamilton. All right, so I think that's also why they make it very clear in the beginning that he was always against slavery and he fought slavery, and there are a lot of characters in this that own slaves, but it's not called Thomas Jefferson, it's not called Washington, it's called Hamilton for a reason, and I understand why Miranda chose that character, all right, and like I said, he was an immigrant, and a big part of this musical is how immigrants really shaped the nation, and it was again brilliantly done. If you have not seen it, if you care about history, musical theater, or just really well-written stuff, any production value, any of that, you really have to see this. Not to mention, remember, tickets for this thing were going for thousands of dollars. You get a free ticket to it on Disney+. So just take the opportunity.
Exactly. If you have the subscription, honestly, even if you get just the free trial just to watch this, it's worth it because it's like...
a cool stat, Ray, I was listening to the director of the musical, and he made this really great point that with all the people that saw it on Broadway and paid to see it, all those people, more people probably saw it in a 24-hour period than did all of the entire Broadway run, because obviously it's on TV. So that's why it's come up in the news again, because all of a sudden everything that people were talking about from the Broadway show is now mainstream.
Right.
So I didn't mean to cut you off. I just thought that was fascinating.
Well, no, because you figure they had a 3 or 4 year run on Broadway. Let's assume right.
It's still there. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's still there, but let's say so in 5 years. So because it debuted in 2015. Here we'll do some math for you because I love math. So 5. So
you geek who likes sports.
So it does 8 shows a week, right? Because you do a matinee on Sundays, you do 2 shows on Sundays. So 8 times 50, because you get a couple of weeks off for holidays and stuff like that. So 400 shows a year. That's 400 shows a year times 5 years. So that's 2,000 shows in a 5-year period. Let's assume the theater holds 1,000 people. It's probably less than that. It's probably 500 or something. But
I'll look it up while you're doing it. But keep going.
So let's say 1,000 seats, right? So 1,000 seats times 2,000 shows. So at maximum.
So I got the number. Do you want the number?
I want the number. Yeah, I want the number.
I'll give you the exact number. 1386.
1386. Okay, so yes. 1386. My phone's not working. Here we go. So
this is incredible.
So about. We'll round up. We'll say about 14 million people saw this show over the course of its run, right? So basically, the entire population of New York City. Right? So, but that's the thing. Only if you're in New York City, or it did travel around the country, really, were you able to see this and pay thousands of dollars. We're a country, though, of 314 million people.
Right.
So think about that now, about how many people are now going to be able to see this. Like, literally only about 2%, 3% of the population were able to see this on Broadway because it is, or on its traveling show, because it is such a limited ability to see a Broadway show. And I think that's also part of the reason why, again, kind of spoiled growing up in the tri-state area, but a lot of folks aren't they can't get to live theater. They can't get
Broadway's not on every corner.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Even here in LA, we have one really big theater. We have the Pantages, right? We have one really big theater, but live musical theater really isn't a big thing here in LA. It's a big deal to get this to all those people. And again, Lee, like you said, this is why it's become mainstream now. Because sadly, Broadway, unlike in probably like the 1860s, isn't really mainstream, as now we are a massive country with massive population hubs all across the continent.
Yeah, I'll just say this too in closing, is that if this was nominated for an Oscar, it would win Best Picture hands down. Yes. There would be nothing close to it.
Yes.
That's how good this was. You have to see it.
Yeah.
And let us know what you think by commenting below.
Yes. So there we go. So there it is. We something for the theater geeks, because there are those out there. So something
we do not. We do not. Yes, we are here for all geeks.
Yes.
Who like sports.
Exactly. So we are all welcome. You are all welcome here amongst our ranks.
Yes.
Anyway, so speaking of history, the NFL this week released their standings for the decade.
Yes, they did.
Which was a fascinating graphic. We put this in the group if you haven't seen it yet. But of course, there are some things that aren't very surprising. The Patriots, of course, best team of the decade by far the most wins. The NFC East, the most tight knit of the decade. No surprise here is that obviously
most parity.
Yes, the most parity, as those teams constantly beat up on each other. The Eagles eked out the Cowboys with one more win, so they were actually the best team of the decade in the division. Number one, indeed.
With more Super Bowls too.
No.
Yes.
No, the Giants had a Super Bowl this decade.
No, then the Cowboys, man.
Oh, well, yes. I thought you meant to the division. Yes, of course. Yes,
no,
of course.
I'm talking about the Cowboys. The Giants? What are you talking about? Who cares about the Giants? You do. That's the answer,
yes, exactly. Anyway. Probably the only other close one was maybe the NFC West, where the Niners, Cardinals, and Rams were very tight-knit, but the Seahawks really kind of ran away with that division. They've been dominant for a very long time. But yeah, just only two divisions had each team win the division at least once, which of course was the NFC East and the NFC West, because the Cardinals did win a division. The AFC West, also very good parity. The Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, and all the Raiders are kind of towards the bottom, but the Chiefs kind of ran away with that, especially the last couple of years. That really helped bolster their numbers. The Browns, no surprise, worst team in football. Absolutely terrible.
Far.
By far. By like 20 games.
42 wins. Think about that. 42 wins in a decade.
Yeah, but actually by 10 games. The Jaguars were the second worst. In that they had that one good year where they made the NFC Championship game, so that elevated them a bit. But
right.
The Browns,
do your mental math there with 42 wins in 10 years in 16 games. I mean, what is that, a year?
So that's 4 wins a year. So you have they had a 250 winning percentage.
Oh my God, that's just pain.
That they win 25% of their games. I mean, and that's including a couple years where you got to remember they went 0-16 one year. Like they lost every game one year. I mean, even the Lions were only 15 games under 500, which isn't bad compared. That's to a 10-year span. There was almost a dozen ties. There was a lot more ties than I expected. Which honestly still needs to be eliminated from football. Take the XFL rule, please.
I wish they would. I mean, look, the Patriots record is amazing. Only 35 losses over 10 years, 125 wins. I mean, the next closest team, right, I think, as you said, was the Pack and the Steelers. It's fascinating to look at this list. I'm looking at it right now. And Ray and I saw this after actually last week's episode recording. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. I mean, the more, and I said it as a post, is the more you look at this, the more fascinating it is.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just a lot of crazy things that went on in here, and you should definitely take a look at it if you get a chance. The other thing is no team was 500. That's pretty amazing, too, when you think about it.
The Niners got the closest. They were 80, 79, and 1. So they were just over 500.
it's fascinating because you look at sustained success, and it's funny because the teams on top, the Pats, the Eagles, the Steelers, the Packers, Texans, Saints, Chiefs, Seahawks.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
And the worst teams, the Jets, the Skins, the Browns, the Lions, the Jaguars, the Bucks, the Raiders, the Rams. That sounds right.
Yeah.
And the teams in the middle. But the other thing we did talk about is only 2 of these divisions have had all 4 teams. We actually mistakenly said this. We thought just the NFC East had all 4 teams win a divisional title during that 10-year period.
Yeah.
But
the Cardinals actually did win one in, I think it was 2014 or 2015.
So that's the NFC West, and so that's pretty amazing when you think about it. For all 4 teams to win a divisional title within a 10-year period.
Yeah.
I believe that in the AFC East, AFC East, only the Patriots won, right? I don't think anybody else won a divisional title.
The Patriots have not lost the division.
They swept
Actually, I don't think they've lost the division. I think in like 15 years, but it's
they're not gonna start losing them now. I can tell you that.
Not with Cam Newton. I think the Bills will. I think quick NFL preview. I think next year you're going to see exactly what if we have a full season, you'll see exactly what happened last year where the Patriots again win the division. The Bills will probably get a wild card. I think, especially now that the playoffs will be 7 teams, the Bills will get in as a wild card. The Bills are a good team, but they're not ready to overtake the Patriots.
No,
yet.
I mean like the Pats got better. I mean, a lot of people that haven't gotten over the Brady phenomena. I mean, they just got better than with Brady. Okay,
Cam Newton is not someone to sleep on.
No, he's a younger. It's not better. He's a younger quarterback. I mean, they got better.
A younger, more mobile quarterback, which means that the offensive line is not the liability for them as it was last year.
6'5" Cam Newton. This is going to be honestly, this is Belichick's chance to just, like I said, not that he's focused on this at all, but it's his chance to prove that he's the greatest coach in the history of football.
Yep.
It's his chance to prove that.
Yep. If he takes Newton to a championship, then there's no doubt that Belichick is the guy.
Assuming there's football this year.
Yes.
I really hope the NFL adopts a bubble style season. And we're seeing that now. By the way, I'm going to change topics here real quick, Ray. Mm-hmm. One of the things we've noticed is that the NHL and NBA, which are doing, I'm calling them bubble seasons, meaning that all of their games are in either a single location or 2 locations that are secluded from everywhere else. Again, the NHL, brilliant going up to Canada, where there's a much less chance of infection.
Yes.
Not infection, but getting the coronavirus. And again, the population is super low compared to America.
It's a 10th. Yeah, it's almost a 10th of what we are,
The NBA should be fine, even though coronavirus in Florida is like a wildfire right now. They should be fine if they're secluded inside Disney World and not going anywhere. I do not know why Major League Baseball felt they had to play in their stadiums. I thought that was a major mistake when they announced it.
Yes.
I think it's, hey, go play up in Toronto and go play out in Seattle, wherever.
Or Minnesota. Yeah. Minnesota's not in a dome anymore. But two places where there's domes. Just pick 2 domes and you're gone. You're fine.
It could even be an open area stadium. I'm just saying, there's no. I don't know why. Again, I wouldn't want to play in Miami right now.
No.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to play in Tampa Bay right now. I wouldn't want to play in Yankee Stadium right now. So, again, I think that's just baseball getting its own way again, thinking, well, our stadiums are legendary and, there's nothing like a baseball stadium. Yeah, well, there's nothing like coronavirus either. So, you pick your poison there on that one. But I wish they had done that. I think that may be – we talked about this with Ray Santiago. Again, this is going to be on Thursday. But that might be a real Achilles heel in that model is if, once team shuts down, that's it.
Yeah.
All right. So I really hope that now the one argument that the MLB can make over the NFL is every stadium is a little different. All right.
Right.
And being in Toronto might play to somebody's strengths. Okay. But with the NFL, every team has the exact same field. It's no different. Yeah. Okay. There's no reason they can't do the same thing. I really hope they do the bubble type season.
Yeah.
And again, who knows? By then, maybe you do it in 4 different locations. Maybe it's not just 2 or 1. Maybe here's the thing. I mean, and this would hurt the TV schedule, but for a fact that you can play pretty easily 3 games a day in any given stadium, and you just so that's 16. You put if you have 32 teams, you put 6 to 8 teams in a bunch of stadiums. That's like 5 stadiums. Pick 5 domes. I know there's 5 domes. Atlanta. Minnesota, It doesn't
New
have
Orleans.
to be a dome. It doesn't even have to be a dome. I mean.
Well, in the NFL,
like,
I would say use a dome stadium just because you're getting colder, the weather, and all that.
Yeah, I know, I get that, but like I'm saying, like, look, there's a lot of scenarios. I mean, I could even think of a scenario where they move around to different domes, or different stadiums. But the point is this: there will probably not be college football this year. I would be shocked if there
the
is.
Ivy League's already shut down.
Okay, I don't think they can control the fan population. That's why they should not do that. I think the NFL fan population can be controlled, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
All right. But plus, there's hundreds of college football teams. There's not hundreds of NFL teams.
Right.
The other thing too is that, like I said, it's like you can seclude these teams. It's the same field size. We're all going to watch it from home. I know what you're saying about domes. Like you said, Minnesota has a dome. And again, like, even if you didn't want to do 3 games on the same field, you could make this work. And here's the thing. When you think about the football schedule, the NFL schedule, there's a game on Thursday. There's a game on like Monday. There's games on Sunday. Like, so it's not unheard of that, okay, there's 4 games on Thursday, there's 4 games on Sunday, and there's 4 games on Monday. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to – keeping in mind, too, it's not like the NHL is going to be playing right away. So there's a lot of things you could do here that would make sense. It's just, will they think outside the box? My gut tells me no. Because the NFL doesn't like to do anything that's outside the box.
Yeah.
All right. But I'll tell you what, if baseball suffers because they're playing in their own stadiums, which, again, makes absolutely no sense to me that they're going to have these teams travel, okay, then even though short distances, to be fair, if that happens to baseball, the NFL will change.
Yes. No, that's very true. Much like how it was the NBA that kind of triggered everything with the virus and everybody shutting down, you'll see that. I think if baseball has a problem, you'll see the NFL react accordingly, and I think
they should. Again,
and this is baseball also wanting to be so cocky to be the first out of the gate. They're going to end up making mistakes that the other leagues that'll be to the league's benefit. So baseball, you'll get exactly what you want. You'll be first out of the gate, and maybe the first to re-shut down. So we will see what happens.
And just taking this one more step forward from a player point of view, it's like this is the way I look at the players. We've kind of discussed this once in a while, but it's like, okay, look, well, if you put them in bubble cities, they're going to be away from their families, right?
Yeah.
It's a fair concern. That's why both Ray and I have said, if someone doesn't want to do that, you have a newborn at home, whatever the reason, you don't want to play. No, I'm not judging you this year if you don't want to play. I respect your decision.
And when hockey players have started to opt out already too. Like it's not just
happening.
Baseball. Yeah, like
right. It's all the sports players have opted out, which is again, I'm not judging anybody with that. But at the same time, and I will say this, if you're getting paid multi-million dollars a year, that's the price you pay to be separated from your family, and it's up to you. I'm not saying that. It's up to each player individually to decide if that's worth it or not.
Yeah.
Okay. And look, different people are in different situations. If I had 2 kids in high school, all right, I might feel comfortable going away for a long time to make that amount of money, which is clearly going to secure their future. If I had a newborn at home, all right, and I didn't want to leave my newborn, I might turn down $5 million to stay home as long as I'm,
Well, and we
might not.
And we just talked about this with Ray again on Thursday. We'll talk about it more. Buster Posey just adopted twins, right?
Yeah.
So he's
opting out.
He's opting out. Like, and that's the thing. And I think, but what's also going to be interesting is it also could be incentive for more guys. And I said this on the show, to stay in, because like a lot of rookies, a lot of young guys who don't have those huge multi-million-dollar contracts yet, who are still on their rookie contracts, this could be a chance for them to get playing time, to show off their worth, and possibly help them negotiate later, and also possibly help them to. And again, these are things that guys are going to be weighing, right? Because each one's going to have their own individual situation. Not saying we're not saying one's right and one's wrong. We're just saying that with everybody having a different situation, they're going to weigh these things, and what means more to them isn't going to mean more to another guy, and that's perfectly fine.
And this is what I'll say: we're putting all the sports together, whether it's $1 million a season to $25 million a season, or whatever the highest paid player in baseball is getting. It's up to them. It's a personal decision of what that money means to you, to your family, what that could do for your future. I think it's really easy to sit here and people go, well, it's millions of dollars, and how can you turn out $10 million? Well, if you have a kid, I can see how you would do it. All right. So my point is this: there's no judgment. Each one makes the personal decision. If they feel like it's best financially for the family for the long term, they should go play. And look, here's the other deal. My wife served in the military, so I know a little bit about watching families be split apart and having a loved one, a father or a mother, have to go away for 6 months at a time. All right, with no communication, except their lives are on the line.
Yeah.
All right. So that's, you're looking at a deployment situation, but in sport, okay, with a very low risk of dying. So it's it's not unheard of, right? But again, it's a personal decision to each family. Obviously, we salute all the military families out there.
Yeah, no, exactly, and it just, like you said, Lee, it's going to be a case by case scenario.
Absolutely.
And more power to anybody who wants to play, and more power to whoever wants to opt out.
Wait, Ray, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Mahomes!
I was just about to say.
Mahomes!
Speaking about guys making millions of dollars on contracts.
Mahomes!
Our buddy Patrick Mahomes just signed the largest contract in sports history, where it's not just a number, it is tied to the salary cap. So as the salary cap increases in the NFL every year, his salary will be tied to a percentage of what that cap is, and it is now projected that he will make well over $425 million over the course of the 10-year contract he just signed with the Kansas City
Was it 10 years or 12 years?
Was it 12 years? It might be 12 years.
I thought it was 12, but
you might be correct. But either way, $425 million. I think it's 427 specifically is what's being projected what's being projected for the salary cap as well going forward. Lee, this is amazing, unbelievable. I mean, good.
I don't know how he can survive on that.
I mean, is this something that people are going to start doing more of, where a certain guy is worth a certain percentage of the salary cap, you think?
Yeah, look, I'll tell you what this was. This is the most innovative contract in football and sports history, in modern history.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why. It was a brilliant contract. I really give his agent a lot of credit for structuring it that way. And got to give the Chiefs credit, too, for understanding what they got there and securing this kid's future. I mean, he's a pretty amazing quarterback. He's done things we've never seen.
Yeah.
We've seen contracts like this go awry before, heavily.
Yes.
But look, this is Patrick Mahomes. He just won the Super Bowl. He is as advertised. He's been good every season he's been in the league. What was his fourth season last year?
Yeah, I think it's his third. Yeah.
Okay, so look, the sport's growing, obviously. I did voice some concern that our priorities are in the wrong place when someone gets paid that much. But look, we watch football, we pay for football stuff, so that's where our priorities are. But I mean, when you're starting to flirt with $500 million, that says something about the machine that is the National Football League and pro sports. But look, here's the deal: from all accounts, he's a good guy. He's a good human being.
Yes.
And again, yes, I do. To answer your question, I do believe we will start to see contracts like this. It had to evolve at some point.
Yeah.
Until the league may decide that they don't want teams doing that. I don't know why they would do that.
Yeah.
All right, but that's going to start to be a little bit of a negotiating factor for a lot of teams. That as the cap goes up, I want a piece of it. Now, keeping in mind, like the owners had the advantage of that. It was the cap went up, I can pay more for my players.
Yeah.
And now this is for every action there's an equal or opposite reaction. Now the player's like, no, I don't want you to buy someone that's going to be better than me and take my spot. I want you to give me that money.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to keep me here in Kansas City, I need to grow with the team.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's again from a CBA area, it's a brilliant tactic.
Yeah. No, exactly.
And it's thinking outside the box. And yes, every major quarterback will be doing this over the next contract negotiation.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. It's funny enough is that see what happens, Dak Prescott, when you win something. Yeah, but
this is VHS tapes.
Yeah, this is a big deal. This is a huge deal, obviously. And I looked it up, by the way. So it's he had 2 years left on his current contract. It's a 10-year extension, so it is over the course of 12 years. But it was a 10-year.
So we were both right.
Yes, exactly. We both had parts.
We don't need to duel and kill each other.
Yes, exactly. Beautiful. And that's actually an interesting question. Who would be your second? Because typically, I feel like if we had to duel each other, if we were dueling, I would be your second and you would be mine. But if we had to duel each other, who would we get? I can tell you right now,
it would not be Travis. I can tell you, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
So
I did not see.
Yeah, I mean Travis's negotiation, like, so you gonna kill him or nah? Like that's the way Travis would negotiate it. Well, I mean, this is assuming I can't clone you.
Yeah, no cloning.
No cloning, and Janet's kind of out, right? Because you can't tell your wife you're going to a duel. Apparently, that's
they would kind of frown on that probably.
Okay, I'd go one of two ways. I'd probably either pick Logan for the cuteness card because you can't kill me in front of my kid, right? So that's a little bit of a. By the way, for those of you who don't understand it, the second is in a duel, and this is from Hamilton.
Ten Commandments of Duel
yes,
in Hamilton.
There's a lot of rules we want to tell you, but one of the rules is you get to bring somebody with you, a teammate, if you will, and they get to negotiate with the other person's teammate. It's like a lawyer to try and end the duel. Okay. But so, yeah, I'd probably bring Logan to play that card because, if I'm trying to fight for my life, I'm going to make sure you feel bad about it. I don't know who else I'd bring, man. Like, it would be you.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, we can't duel each other because we're each other's second normally.
No. We can duel each other. It's just we can't duel each other.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it'd be.
We can't bring family. This is the rule. We can't bring a family member, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm dead. Travis is gonna get me killed. I'm absolutely Obi-Wan and he's Anakin in this situation.
Yeah,
just trust me.
Because I got a friend out here in LA named Sean, and he's real smart and he's a good negotiator, and I think that he'd probably run circles around Travis if Travis is your second. So
yeah, no, Travis, I would have. Listen, mine would be unveiled at the time. It would be like a great WWE match. You wouldn't know, but then all of a sudden the bell would ring and the Undertaker would come out.
There it is, WWE versus Ray W.
Or I'd bring my daughter. And you'd really be screwed then because she'd just walk up to you, "Don't kill my daddy," and that's exactly what you would say.
Yeah,
and you'd be crying.
Well, I mean, the thing is honestly though, what we would do is we would go through with it. We'd pull our guns in the air. Exactly. We would both have the honorable thing. We'd both put our guns in the air. We wouldn't shoot.
Yeah.
We wouldn't
and then
shoot
go
each
get
other.
a sandwich.
Exactly. And we'd be like, it's like it was all it is an excuse for us to get away from our current situations. Like, so you had to leave at 6 a.m. from Philly,
right.
And we had to meet in Jersey because everything's legal in Jersey. And when we would get a sandwich,
go to Jersey Mike's, man.
Exactly. So there you go.
Or whatever that version of that was, or Six Brothers in the turn of the century, 1800s. Not
Six Brothers lost their duel, but anyway.
Anyway, and just so you guys know, the reason I was going Mahomes is because we assigned Pokemon noises to the quarterbacks that became Pokemon in a game we played.
And Mahomes is by far the most popular, so but yes, that was a fun little segue there. That's an extra question, but so we also talked about earlier, of course, the Major League Baseball, what they're doing with the traveling and whatnot, and of course the schedule's released this week for MLB. We know who we're playing, when we're playing. The Yankees and Nationals, it's the first game. It's probably going to be Cole versus Scherzer. Baseball realizes they need a big marquee matchup for the first game of the season. So Yankees, Nationals, defending world champions, arguably best pitcher in baseball.
I don't know why they didn't pick the Astros. It's weird.
Yeah.
They're a good team.
Yeah. But Yankees versus Nationals. So, and then after the Yankees play the Nationals, it's Yankees versus Phillies. Yankees head up to Philadelphia for I think is it 3-game set?
You are all gonna get to listen or watch Ray and I bicker. It's gonna be great. You think we're doing it now, but we're not. It's gonna be fun analyzing that series. That series kicks off on the 27th of July, which is a Monday, which is good because then by the next episode of Geeks Who Like Sports, the whole series will be completed, and then we can talk to each other about it. Yes, Ray's flying out here to watch them with me.
No,
he's not.
No, unfortunately, things have not calmed down yet. So, but yeah, so some interesting things. Obviously, we're playing all the same teams. The Yankees finished their schedule against, I think, Toronto, Baltimore, and Miami. So the Yankees have a very hard schedule to begin with, but then finish strong. I think all at home as well in New York. Obviously, we talked about this before. It's a 60-game season. You got to get off to a fast start. The Yankees are going to get tested early. There's no time for rust. The Phillies, they are a good team. They've made some really good moves in the offseason. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
It's going to be a telling series for both teams. We have a pretty powerful team as well. I mean, it's not the Yankees rotation, but we'll see. Yeah,
we will see. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. And again, hopefully just everybody stays safe. And then hopefully we can get through 2 months of baseball and have a third month of playoffs and crown a World Series champion, which should be the Yankees.
So, Ray, I do have to pivot here again because this article is starting to come up right now and some athletes are weighing in. We may disagree on this. Does this year's World Series champion have an asterisk next to their name?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't know.
We're going to disagree because I actually do. But I'll explain myself after you explain yourself.
I mean, look, I completely understand if you do, because baseball is typically a marathon and it's not this year. Yeah. It's going to be a sprint. Every pitcher, instead of starting 32 games a year, 30 to 32 games, is going to only have to start 12. They'll be fresh and ready to go for the playoffs should they make the playoffs. You're going to have teams that typically wouldn't be able to survive a marathon that could possibly do well. The Padres, the Reds, the Pirates, teams that typically have great first halves and then collapse. And then there are teams that typically have that have bad first halves and get hot, like the Nationals last year. I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happened in Washington again. But then this year, 60 games last year, they had 20 wins. Like it's going to be interesting. But of course, they're doing what they have to, because here's the thing, right? You don't have asterisks next to all the teams that served from World War II, when most of the big stars on a lot of teams weren't around.
But that was a full season,
right? I mean,
that's a fair argument.
You have replacement players. And I don't want to say replacement players, but you basically had minor league teams on the field. I think it's just it's a season that is dealing with certain worldly circumstances. And it is what it is. And again, if the Yankees win it all, it's just a makeup for 94. So
yes, if the Yankees win, they don't get an asterisk. But if any of the other teams win, Ray's going to agree with me.
Yes.
No. Here's my attitude. This is my attitude on it. Is I think unfortunately the asterisk just has such a negative connotation in baseball.
Yeah.
And for some things it does. Obviously, what they did to Roger Maris was wrong, right?
Yes.
I think did they do that to Bonds or did they do that to McGuire?
They have now. Like even in MLB The Show, this is a fun fact. When I broke the home run record, they said Barry Bonds' name isn't even in the game. They said that I broke the home run record of a San Francisco Giant player. Did not say this. Other records have the specific names of people, but Pete Rose, Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa are not in the game at all.
It's interesting, and this is what I'll tell you, is that the reason why I think there should be an asterisk next to this year's champion is not to separate them in the sense of like negativity, but it's an understandable asterisk. It was a 60-game season during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. It's to me, this one's like when a series was canceled, like in 1919, they canceled the Stanley Cup Final, so there's no winner, and there's a huge asterisk there. It says canceled due to the pandemic of 1919,
Spanish flu,
or 1918, or whatever year it was, maybe 1917, but. It was in the teens of the 1900s. My point is that I don't think an asterisk on this year's champion takes away from them winning the championship. I think it's just a reminder this was a shortened pandemic season, and that in my opinion that does play into it. The 60-game season is not anything we've seen before. In fact, in lockout years, it's more than that, right? Or in half seasons, it's more than that.
Typically.
And again, I wouldn't be against. Asterisks on lockout years, like when the Chicago Blackhawks won it, I think in 2014, I think that was the year. Again, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. They are the Stanley Cup champion. It's just a footnote in history of like, hey, look, this was happening this year. All right, like it's important to remember that. So I don't know. It depends how you view an asterisk. If it's only negative, then I could see why you wouldn't want it there. But like here's the thing: the 2020 World Series champion, the 2020 NHL champion, the 2020 NBA champion are all going to be remembered as the pandemic champion.
Year.
Yeah. So I mean, except the only team that won't be is the Chiefs.
because they won. Yeah, they won in February.
So like my point is, there's an asterisk on this no matter what, whether it's there or not. Yeah. So maybe we don't need to actually put it there, but. Yeah, it was just a topic. Let us know what you think, obviously, if you're listening or watching. Like, should there be an asterisk, and what should the connotation of that asterisk be? Or should it just be something else, a footnote? That maybe asterisk is the wrong thing to have. It's maybe just a footnote that the season was shortened to 60 games due to
I think more of a footnote, because, again,
that would be fair.
An asterisk does connotate such a, especially in baseball, so, like you mentioned, such a negative connotation to it. So
I'm calling it now the Expos are winning the World Series. What's that, Bob? There's no Expos anymore?
Because
the Yankees are winning the World Series.
Because of poor Montreal. Anyway, you mentioned hockey. Our last sports story today. We're going to wrap up. This is a big deal. Hockey has signed a 6-year collective bargaining agreement extension. Part of this is that the players will be allowed to play in the 2022 Winter Olympics. Hopefully by then we'll be back to the Olympics. This is a big deal. Obviously, a 6-year extension, continuing. Now this will mark over 20 years of labor peace between the union and the league. And this is a big deal. This was something that a lot of leagues obviously are right around that negotiating time. The NFL's negotiating right now. Major League Baseball's negotiating right now. Baseball's only extended for a couple more years because of all this. But 6 years. I mean, you got to be feeling good.
Yeah.
Another 6. You won't have to look at this until 2025 again. 2026.
I want to be in the room where it happened. The room where it happened. The room where it happened. Look, here's what I'm starting to think now, having looked at this. First thoughts is it's wonderful to hear that there's been an extension, number one, with lockout histories in the NHL over the last 25 years. It's just great news that we're not going to have to even deal with the threat of a lockout for, a good portion of this decade. That's a big deal, all right? Now, when you jump into the minutia of it, I'm starting to realize that the NHL probably held players out of the Olympics the last few years as a negotiating tactic to make this happen. And the reason I was singing I want to be in the room where it happened is because I want to know what the NHLPA gave up to get that.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing with the Olympics. And again, I take a real business approach to this. I am not pro or anti-owner or player. I look at both sides equally. I think one of the major mistakes sports fans do is they're usually one or the other. 90% are pro athlete. They think the owners are greedy. And that's not always wrong. Don't get me wrong. But it's a two-way street. All right. It always has been. I've studied CBAs. All right. One of the things about the Olympics that the NHL doesn't like, aside from the prospect of players getting injured in a non-NHL tournament, there's a lot of money and endorsements that go to the players that the NHL doesn't see any of, right? That's money. Yeah. That's money that the NHL does not see. Now, you can call them greedy for that, but that's their business, okay? If there's revenue in hockey, they want it to go to the league, all right? And I get that, okay? You can say, oh, it's nice for them to go to the Olympics, and it's true. But, and do I think players should be able to represent their country? Yes. In the Olympics, I want to see the best in the world playing. So, I always got this conversation. But as the NHL operates as a business, I understand where they're coming from, even though I don't agree with them. So I want to know what the NHLPA gave up to get that, and I have no idea what it is. That's why I said I want to be in the room where it happened, because the NHL has probably been holding on to this, because that's something they were just straight up no on for the last – 2 Olympics. Just no, we're not doing it. No, and then all of a sudden it's just no, go for it. So I think that's also the failure of kind of the World Cup of hockey that hasn't really taken off, and there's something going on there. But end of the day, 6-year extension. It's great news. Revenues are going up. The NHL is getting bigger, and like I said, lockouts for hockey have always been detrimental for the fan base, for the sport. Yeah. We don't need any more for a while. I'll just say that. Yeah. We'll say this, though, real quick. The 2005 lockout, a lot of people were on the owners and the greedy owners because the players just wanted more money. Looking back now, it's been 15 years. The owners were 100% correct in what they were asking for. This is why time changes the mood of things. The owners were absolutely right for asking for a 50-50 split on revenue. They were absolutely right in asking for a salary cap. All right. They were absolutely right. Right. And again, that goes to show you it's easy to shout at the owners and say this, but you got to take a step back and look at the business behind it. What the players wanted in 2005 was not sustainable. Yeah. The league would have gone under. Yeah. So again, I'm not trying to make the owners saviors. I'm just saying that their business acumen, they were correct, and the NHL has thrived ever since. Yeah. Okay, it's bigger than it's ever been, and it's not comparable to the NFL and MLB. I'm not trying to do that. It's bigger than it's ever been from hockey standards. So again, that's just a macro view, or is it a micro view? I don't know, depending on how you look at it.
I think it's macro.
I think it is too. These things are never as simple as black and white as you think they are. And like I said, I would love to have been in that negotiation room when Fair, who's the Donald Fair's the head of the NHLPA, was like, well, we want to play in the Olympics, and Bettman went, fine. And then he was like, what do I have to get in? Or what do I have to give up for that? And Bettman went, I want to be in the room where it happened, the room where it happened. So we're never going to know. We'll never know unless they release
unless they tell us, we'll never know. Yeah. Oh, goodness. But yeah, so that is a big deal. It is a huge deal, and we'll have hockey for at least another half dozen years. So
please God, I need it.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Yes, be safe, wear a mask. Okay, hockey.
But so now that does it for our sports section.
Oh wait, no, sorry, we actually haven't talked about this on the show. So it has been confirmed, by the way, that the 2 bubble cities for hockey are
Toronto and Edmonton. Oh yes, that's true. That's true.
I don't think we actually brought that up. So we
mentioned it, but we didn't go into it.
I mentioned it earlier. So again, brilliant move putting it in Canada. Now, one thing that has changed, as Mark Friedman suggested that the East would play in the West and the West would play in the East, they're not doing that, which I think is a mistake.
I agree.
Because it does give Toronto and Edmonton an advantage, and the time difference doesn't matter if it's different conferences, right? But the Eastern Conference will play in Toronto. The Western Conference will play in Edmonton. They have released the schedule, and it's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. If they pull this off, basically with the time difference from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., there will be hockey on nonstop. It's a dream if you're a hockey fan.
Yeah.
But just the idea that pretty much throughout the entire day I could put the TV on and there'll be a game on, that does not ever happen. It begs the question, will this innovate or bring ideas that we've never thought of before to the future? Because, and also how many people are going to lose their job over, no, I'm just kidding, because they're watching hockey all day. But no, it's a brilliant schedule, at least for the play-in round and the round robin. Yeah. It will be nonstop.
Yep, which kicks off August 1st, by the way, officially.
Yeah, for like a week or two, it's going to be nonstop and exciting. I mean, the worst part of any playoffs, and this is my opinion, but I think most people would agree with me, the worst part of the playoffs is as you get towards the championship, it's less and less games, and you just, you thrive on those games, and then all of a sudden, like World Series, doesn't matter, outside football, it's like, there's this massive game, and then you wait 2 days. And then there's this massive game, and then you wait a day.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. It's true. The first round of the playoffs is amazing because, like you said, it's usually, especially for me on the West Coast, you've got three you get 3 games in a row that first round, and it's just like, oh, this is awesome. Fantastic. You just watch everything all day, and it's just.
I said that it's like a drug addiction. It's weaning you off slowly. Like, no, man, I gotta get more playoff hockey. Can you give me some more playoff hockey? No, man, just 2 games today. You know the deal. I need more playoff hockey. And then the NHL sometimes does something stupid like, oh yeah, no, both the conference final games are on today. I'm like, why is it not every other day? Yeah. Well, we've got scheduling conflicts with the NBA. They're not in the playoffs yet, you bastards. And then I'll never forget. This is a total side note, but I got to bring this up. I'll never forget. I believe the year was 2006, 2005, 2006, probably 2006. It was during March Madness and stuff, and right around then. And the NHL playoffs are going on. It was a little bit after March Madness. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah. And it was a Vancouver game, national broadcast. I can't remember who Vancouver was playing. Going to overtime. I'll never forget this. They're going to overtime in the NHL playoffs, and they cut away from the game in overtime, like off, for the pre-show. For the Preakness or the Kentucky Derby, I don't remember what it was. It wasn't the race. It was the 1 hour pre-show. I'm like, you couldn't have stayed with this game for one more period.
NBC
Again,
Sports
if it got close to the race, I would have got it. Honestly.
Well, because especially the race is a minute and a half.
Yeah, no, I would have got it. An hour pre-show. They couldn't redo that for a live NHL playoff game. I never forgave them for that. I remember that. And it's like, back then, again, there's no like, oh, head over to NBC Sportsnet and you can watch it there. Go online. Yeah. There wasn't. It was just, you didn't get to see who won the game. I was just like, I was devastated by that. For a pre-show. That's unforgivable. Long pre-show.
That's unforgivable.
You couldn't have cut 15 minutes into that, 20 minutes.
Here's your horse pre-show. There's 20 horses. They're going to run as fast as they can. All right, let's go to the race. No, boom, you're done.
That is the ultimate money talks and BS walks situation there.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's too much money involved in that. But anyway, we won't have that problem again because of digital media and streaming. We don't have to deal with it anymore. So
no, exactly.
You can get all the horse racing you want if you're a horse racing fan.
Yes. We forgot that. What was it? Yeah. We talked about the Belmont Stakes ran a couple weeks ago. Nobody knew. But anyway.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. But anyway, so that brings us to our mashup for the day, which this is a good one. We've been talking about it, obviously, the whole show throughout the show. We sprinkled it throughout. Hamilton, obviously, is just an epic Broadway show. And, of course, we've also talked a lot about here, the show, a lot about sports documentaries. So what sport, team, or sport in general you think could have a Hamilton-level Broadway show?
So the first one I'm going to bring up, this is a mutual submission from Ray and I, because we talked about this a little bit before the show, but it's too obvious that The Last Dance has to be made into Hamilton because I'm not going to miss my shot. Michael Jordan's not going to miss his shot. Rodman's not going to miss his
John Paxson's not going to miss his shot.
Yeah. I mean, there's just too. I mean, the duels. I mean, there's so much that could have been in that.
Yeah.
That could make good music for Hamilton. I won't rap at all. That would be a major mistake. But just the young Scrappy and all of it works. Now, when you leave that, The Last Dance would be an obvious one. Again, we were given that gift this year. I'm going to go homeschool on this one, okay? But I would love to see a musical about the Broad Street Bullies, Philadelphia Flyers of the mid-'70s.
Yeah.
Because it would be amazing just to watch that.
Yeah.
The Broad Street Bullies is a great name, all right?
Yeah.
It would be a great musical. We win in the end. It's great.
Well, similarly, going to the same era, the first one I thought of is, and also going homeschool, is the 1977-1978 Bronx Zoo Yankees, right?
Yes.
Where
Yes.
Reggie
Yes.
Jackson and Billy Martin
Yes.
constantly facing off, Steinbrenner at top, changing and wheeling and dealing with different managers. Billy, you're fired. Billy, you're rehired. Billy, you're fired.
Yeah.
Billy, you're rehired.
I mean, think about the song. You're fired, you're hired, you're fired, you're hired. Let's call the whole thing off. I mean, you can do it. It works, right? All right. What month is it? October. Who do we need? Jackson. It's Jackson. It's Jack. I mean, there's so much. Again, I should never write. I should never write.
Yeah,
The playoffs. Stay alive. Stay alive.
But yeah, so Bronx Zoo Yankees there. I mean, not a fan of them, but also the '86 Mets obviously is a team that comes to mind.
The Amazins. It's a great name.
Exactly.
The Miracle. Is that Miracle Mets? The Miracle Mets, right?
Technically, the Miracle Mets and the Amazing Mets are both the line Mets.
Okay, well then I was right then. So I went either way there.
So I mean, you could do that. I mean, you could do that too if you want. But I think the '86 team with Darryl and Doc and Hernandez and all them is obviously much.
If you
more
want drama, you can go to the Black Sox.
Yeah,
I mean that would be good. 8 Men Out could be a great musical.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that the 95 Cowboys with Dion as primetime and Michael Irvin and Emmett.
No.
Well, I hate them, but like...
No. Dude, there's only one musical in the NFL. There's only one. It's Namath. That's what it's called.
Well, yeah, there you go.
I mean, they already got the song, I Want to Kiss You. I couldn't care about the other teams on the field today. I want to kiss you. I mean, like, misogynist prick. Anyway, yeah, no, he. I mean, to be fair, he's a good guy, from what I hear, right? Namath. I mean, can you imagine like the Costas character in those musicals? Like, this is Bob Costas. Bob Costas, who? Costas. Give me my sandwich, Bob Costas. There's an inside joke there.
Oh man.
Okay, so we haven't. I think we've done all 4 sports.
Yeah, I mean, if you do like the late '90s Bulls, and there's your all.
It would have to be the
sports,
Bulls,
so.
Or else it's just a big long musical about the ABA.
Yeah, no.
So what was that? What was that Will Ferrell movie they made about the ABA? That's what that would be.
Semi-Pro.
Yeah,
Semi-Pro.
So that would be that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, it's a great question for all of you out there. I mean, there's so many sports teams that could be put into that. I mean, you could put the Cubs in a few years ago.
Yeah, you could.
I mean, it's just. But again, in terms of a Hamilton type musical, like meaning that we're kind of using the Hamilton influence.
Yeah.
The Last Dance is easy. It's obvious. I mean, again, it has to be
anybody who has a name already. Last Dance, Broad Street Bullies, Bronx Zoo.
Yeah, I would even throw in the Blues from last year, just because they came from
out of nowhere.
Dead last. Yeah, but the Broad Street Bullies is a great name. I mean, obviously the '94 Rangers could pull this off. All right, just the Messier character would be amazing. It would be called Messier, by the way, or Messiah.
Yeah, actually, there you go. Yeah.
It's got to have a good name. Like it would be the Bullies, the Messiah.
Right.
Exactly.
Namath. Again. Bronx Zoo, Last Dance. Like, yeah.
Yeah. See, they got a cool name. Black Sox. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is a good mashup. That's right. We did a good mashup today.
It's a very good mashup.
Right.
This is what happens when we plan before the show.
Yes. Although I have been impressed with my ability to make these up during the show.
I know.
But this was this is actually a really good one, because this is going to be obviously one of our side quests this week. So side quest for you.
Yeah.
Comment below what team from sports history makes the best Hamilton-style musical on Broadway. Go.
Here we go.
Don't stop. Don't watch this and not do it.
Yeah,
go.
We cannot wait to see your answers. And we appreciate everybody who tunes in every week. And that will do it for episode 65.
But
we
I
are
don't
retiring.
I don't want to go.
I know. We'll be back next week. Technically, we'll be back Thursday with the show with Ray Santiago, even though we've already recorded that.
We'll see. Yeah, make sure you all check that out if you're listening to our leaderboard interview this week with Ray Santiago. Get a dear friend of Ray and I.
We got a lot of good leaderboard interviews planned for the next few weeks,
folks.
It's
a deep episode, by the way. It's a really deep episode.
Yeah, as fun and as light as this one, that was a more heavy interview, and I think we all. I'm not to toot our own horn. I think we tried to do the subject matter justice as best we could, for sure.
We did. I'd say that we did.
So definitely great talking with him, great catching up with him. But yeah, thank you everybody who tuned in this week, as always. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Be sure to share, like, comment below, the usual. Join the Facebook
Watch the
group.
screen at the end of the show where you get all the information.
Yes, exactly. Go follow my Twitch, my TikTok, all that other stuff.
You won't regret that, by the way. Go check out Ray on Twitch. I'm gonna give you that. You won't regret it if you watch. This guy does play-by-play better than anyone I've ever seen. He's got a problem.
I do have a problem. I thank you. And also, of course, get Lee's book. Get Lee's book on Amazon. Again, the business recovery checklist. Get that for free on Amazon or
free on the website. Don't lie to it. Free on our website, businessrecoverychecklist.com. You can buy it on Amazon if you want to pay for it.
Gotcha. So there you go. So buy it on Amazon or download it for free at the website. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. As always, we appreciate it. For Lee, I'm Ray. This has been episode 65 of Geeks Who Like Sports. And we will see you all, in a few days. So, good night, everybody.